Yo, so I'm checking in with another walk and talk, and today I wanted to talk about the 7 years of tribulation, which in my opinion started in 2020, and since 2020 we saw the quote-unquote the new normal taking place on a worldwide scale, and which in my view signified the start of tribulation. And a precursor to this was, of course, the Trump election. And by the way, Trump was announcing his presidency on June the 16th, which would be 616, which is the number of the beast. So he announced when he went down the golden escalator, golden escalation, the golden dawn, the bad dawn. Yeah, and this was the day, but the real tribulation started, of course, with the psyop, with the worldwide psyop, and with the Jews, with the snake Jews, which started then in late 2020. And prior to that we had the lockdowns, we had the mask mandates. It was shown outwardly what inwardly was existing long before, and it was shown that basically we are living in everyone is a slave, everyone is enslaved, everyone is bowing down to L. That's why we are that's why the elbow society came on display. Everyone was greeting the other one with an elbow. And yeah, in my opinion, 2020, like 2020's hindsight, or the 2020 vision, for those who could see, it was clearly the beginning of the tribulation, of a cut with old ways. So if we know the tribulation started in 2020, then we would have to count 7 years from there on to land on the end of the tribulation, which would be 2027, somewhere in 2027. So since that would make 7 years from 2020 to 2027. So that would make 7 years of testing, of overcoming the 7 sins, so to speak, because everything is separated into 7. And that's why we have to overcome these 7 years. And we even have a big hit in Germany, which is from the 70s, from Peter Maffay, and it's known until this day. Everyone in Germany knows this song, I would say. And it goes like, it's called Über 7 Brücken musst du gehen. That means you have to go over 7 bridges. So it goes like this: you have to go over 7 bridges, you have to endure 7 dark years, you have to be the ashes 7 times, but one time you will be the bright shining light, so to speak. I think that was an adequate translation. So would this mean that all what I'm showing here on this channel with the Mark of the Beast rollout as the last great test in 2027. Wouldn't it make sense that it's the way the test would be rolled out in 2027, in the 7th year, so to speak? The greatest test, the great test of all time. The goat. And that's why we saw the goat in iPad Gold with the 666 on the forehead. That was the main clue. Right at the start, we had the goat with the 666. So that would all take place in the 7th year, in 2027. Another clue. And which also would be the year of the goat. So, in my opinion, there are multiple clues coming together which culminate in 2027 for the Mark of the Beast rollout, which is the great test of all time. Yeah, 2027, another 7 right there. And yeah, there are countless things split into 7. Like 7 days a week, 7 continents, 7 world wonders, 7 chakras, 7 sins, 7 colors of the rainbow. So, as I showed multiple times, we have to overcome the 7, we have to pass 7. And wouldn't it make sense that the great test of all time, the goat, in the year of the goat, is exactly in 2027. Like the 7th year of the tribulation. And we even would have the 7 in the year. And the goat, or the goats, would be the ones who pass the last test. The great test of all time. Those who pass this test, the Mark of the Beast, would be the greatest of all time, so to speak. Yeah, and we also could say, since 2020, those who didn't participate, like me, I can speak for myself. I was since then ostracized from society, and okay, I have a few people left I can speak to, but not many. And yeah, even family, even family members, parents, turned their back on me, and yeah, society in general. So I was used like a scapegoat. You are guilty because you didn't take the vaccine. You didn't take it. You are the one, because of you. Everything is so shit. So we were the scapegoats. And this sounds a lot like the scapegoats. Goats will be the escapegoat. You know, the escape and the escape, it's just an E. And the escape is like a electric scape or electric view. That's why it's called escape or escape, because we have to escape the escape. So, but back to the scapegoat, I would say the scapegoats will be the escape goats. Wouldn't that make sense? Because the real goats can escape this hell projection. So that's why the last will be first, so to speak, and the first will be last. Because the scapegoats, yeah, I mean, where was the gain? Where was the gain in 2020 if you said, okay, no, I'm not participating, I'm not agreeing, I'm not consenting, this is all bullshit. Where was my gain? There was no gain for me. I was ostracized, I was scapegoated, I was the black sheep, so I had to sacrifice worldly things, and there was indeed no real gain for me. So wouldn't it make sense that the last will be the first, or the scapegoats will be the escapegoats? Because, yeah, as I said, the real goats pass the test, the great test of all time. And those are the greatest of all time, so to speak. And that's the narrow gate, or the filter I'm speaking about on my channel. Yeah, so wouldn't it make sense that though these are 7 years of testing, of overcoming, and with the great test of all time at the end in the last year, 2027. And we also would have I mean that this would we also had the for example, another clue we had to strengthen this idea is that prior to all the conflict in Israel, we had the storm Daniels going on in the Middle East with huge devastation, and this was like a foreshadowing, and it also, I think, was a reference to the 7th week of Daniel, which are like the 7 years of tribulation. And also we had the Trump Stormy Daniels, yet another reference, the Stormy Daniels sex scandal. So yet another reference to the 7th week of Daniel, which, according to my research, are the 7 years of tribulation. And yeah, this, in my opinion, were all clues that we are entering these final 7 years of tribulation, of testing. And in the 8th year, that would be 2028, everything is crashing down, the whole prison is crashing down, the 9/11. That's why Trump has the 9/11 on his cap in 2028. And yeah, my 2028 decoding, I showed a lot of clues why this must be the year where everything is crashing down and the prison itself, the mind itself, is crashing down. And the shit, so to speak, is hitting the fan. Because in 2028, the snake eats, or will eat its tail. The prison, the 9/11, the two towers will collapse on themselves because of hubris, of pride, of they are too high. Yeah. So in my view, everything is getting clear for me personally since the Trump election, and the timeline is getting clear. The Iran-Israel war is all according to script, and someone commented on my channel, like the BowEL, Super Bowl, taking place next year in San Francisco, and it's the Super Bowl XL. Oh no, it's the Super Bowl LX. So once again, L will be X'd. Yeah, and of course the Super Bowl is a hint in itself, because everyone is bowing down to El, to the false god, with this ritual, with the football, bread and circuses. And we have the bridge in the logo, which would which would tie back to the 7 bridges we have to cross. The 7 sins, the 7 beastly traits that are anchored in our body. And during these 7 dark years. And this would be probably the last Super Bowl, given that in maybe one more Super Bowl in 2027. But it could also be the last, very well be the last Super Bowl, because the message is clear. We have the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, which would signify, yeah, of course, the Golden Gate of the Rainbow Bridge, so to speak, which leads out of here. And yeah, so to cross the Golden Gate, we would have to X or cross out, destroy, overcome L. So the Golden Gate Bridge would symbolize the last bridge we have to go over, the Golden Gate. And that's the reason why Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz, because this symbolizes the prison, or the prism. It's the prison. It's the best known prison of the world, Alcatraz. And the Golden Gate Bridge would symbolize the narrow gate. And so to speak, the stargate, the narrow gate, the last bridge to cross. And only the goats can cross the bridge, because they deny the mark of the beast. And that's why now Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz, bigger and stronger, like we see here. Trump wants to reopen Alcatraz, and that's the Super Bowl, because everyone makes a Super Bowl to El, the false god, which is represented here with this football. And down there, this would be the shithole projection. The football would be the prison, like we see here. So I just wanted to make this, or point this out specifically, and that's why I edited this video on top of the video. So we can see it here once again in this logo, in the Super LX Bowl 2026. This would be 1 year prior to the Mark of the Beast rollout. It's like a foreshadowing. We have to cross the last bridge. The football is the prison, which we have to overcome. This would be the narrow gate, the Golden Gate, the Stargate. Yeah, 7 years of darkness, 7 bridges we have to cross. 7 times you have to be ashes, because every time you have to overcome one of the 7 sins, so to speak, your ego has to burn. You have to burn to ashes. So 7 times you will be burned to ashes, but 1 time you will be the bright light, the bright shining light, because yeah, everything is overcome and you are in the real light again at the end of the day, if you make it. So yeah, that's it for today. Some thoughts about the 7 bridges, the 7 years, 2022-27, and which are, let me know. But yeah, we went through, or I went through personal obstacles, things to overcome, worldly things primarily. And this would be indeed fitting if the greatest of all time, the great test of all time, the GOAT, would be the last test at the end, in the 7th year, before everything is crashing down, the cycle, the alpha meets the omega in 2028, and the loop, the the great reset takes place. There's a small opportunity, a small window where you can leave. Okay, if you pass L. Okay, that's it for today.